Welcome everybody to the Ortelius outreach for June 2nd. Uh, Tracy, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yep. All right. So on the agenda today, we have pretty much two things that we need to talk about. So let's do the easy one first. We should be working on a follow-up to our job seekers webinar. Do we have any suggestions on what we could do? We could do a panel of job seekers that have recently gotten jobs.
We had a document trying to be started around links and websites and utilities
Yep.
that you use
Yep. We have a resource page.
so that was one of them that we had going on from a while ago.
Yeah, and Jean and Tony put together a resources page. Let me bring it up because maybe that will inspire us in some way. And anybody can add to this resources page. It's pretty simple. You just create a pull request on the blog and you're good to go.
I only have something that's very annoying about being a job seeker, but when you get a job, maybe it's something for further down the line, being reviewed by AI, who has zero personal interaction with you or relationship with you.
It's terrible.
And then you get this cardboard, you get this cardboard review, and you're like, this is so impersonal. It stands out so bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have episode 1 and 2 posted out here, and then we have articles worth exploring, professional resume services, platform resume building services, CV scanning and keyword optimization, and cover letter creation. So we've got a good set of some resources for folks to look at. But if we want to do a number 3 on the webinar, I'm thinking we probably would try to do it sometime in the middle of July. We've covered 2 pretty solid topics, so not sure which one would be next, but we don't have to decide today. If we could think about it over the course of the next 2 weeks and come up with a potential if we want to do a third one. I think we were going to try to do like maybe 4 or 5 for the year. So we probably need to have 2 additional topics if we're going to meet that goal. And we could do one, and we could wait until September because that tends to be, or August. That tends to, a lot of hiring is done in September. So maybe we try to do one in August and then we do another one around October.
Can we do something specific to some job roles? Like if somebody has to, get into a DevSecOps role, what are the skills he should, possess?
That's a great idea.
Tracy,
That is good.
what have the
Yeah.
stats been on the 2 we did so far?
You know what? If you could go,
Just
I don't
YouTube.
know. Yeah,
Go to
YouTube and
Ortelius
see.
channel.
Yeah.
Okay. Doing that now.
I think doing one based on roles, what kinds of job titles people should be applying for.
I can put a link in the channel here. It's quite useful, I found. It's called roadmap.sh.
Yeah, that one
Fine.
actually sounds pretty good because you see people open to work. Anything from like, I want to be the CISO or CIO down to I want to be a penetration tester. It's like, folks, no one's going to take that seriously.
This confuses recruiter as well, and they don't get a confidence like, is this the right person or not?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think they don't even get their resume looked at.
Yeah.
I think that's the case in a lot of this situations. The resume is not even looked at. If it doesn't meet some of those guidelines that we were told, we know it's not going to get looked at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Frustrating. It's
Yeah.
really frustrating. So, Sasha, would you put that roadmap.sh, would you add it to that blog?
Oh yeah, sure. It's quite useful if you want to find out, to help people find direction, in a role,
Yeah,
I find. Yeah, it's
very
really
useful.
cool. yeah, super useful. Because like I had a young person ask me the other day, he wanted to get into exactly what Goodcast just said, and I said, go and take a look at DevSecOps at roadmap.sh. It'll give you a good idea of what you kind of need to do, right?
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's really good.
Skill-based roadmaps. It's interesting, they don't have platform engineering. And that's another thing that we could do, because I know we have a lot of folks that are in the DevOps world. Maybe we bring on a recruiter that specializes in platform engineering and find out what they look for specifically in that
Yeah.
area.
I'm doing a certification in platform engineering, and I can share the link.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I saved up and burnt a lot of dollars. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Because everyone's got to change their mindsets now, because DevOps messed everything up. Everyone's so confused with DevOps. And now platform engineering's coming in, which is like product focused, right?
Uh-huh.
There you go.
We'll figure it out.
Getting there.
There you go. I put the link there. I'm doing that certification. I did my first class last week.
Like we have 14 submittals so far.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Well, we have 14 what?
Today's
Yeah.
Was 10 of them Marvin's?
So Brian, what were the stats? What was what did
80
it look like? Here are the people
80
who have
86 on the first one.
Test is the last name. Smith playing with it. But Luigi submitted, and he's from the OpenSSF. He runs he's the chair of the. Somebody listening to me?
Yeah, I was like, are you
Okay.
talking or
What?
the
It's like I'm talking twice. 86 views for the
That
first.
was
And what
me,
was
and
the
I
second?
didn't know it. It was lost in a tab. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to figure out.
Tracy?
We had a secure ChainCon planning call in March 18, 2024 that ended up with 2,200 views. But I think it's because they thought that we were a training camp for Biden's next spokesperson. But anyway, so that's what was playing. Job Seekers did 86 views for the first one and 21 views for the second one.
Well, it doesn't surprise me the first one that he was so good at what he did. It was super helpful.
Was I just talking on mute to you guys? I am so sorry.
No, you
No,
weren't.
we heard you.
Oh, okay, I got muted. Okay, awesome.
But only 21 views on the second one. That's pretty disappointing, really.
Yeah. I think because there's some really good information in that one as well. And maybe I should push it a little more. Maybe all of us should try sharing it. Just give it another round of pushes.
Reshare.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing that's a far more important question for us is I want to really start talking about Jenkins adoption. Let's come up with some ways, some ideas. Let's just brainstorm. What would be ways for us to build adoption focusing on the Jenkins community? We know we went down the road of seeing if we really needed a plugin, and what we were told is not really a badge is going to be fine. So, and we may not even need that. It may be more of a messaging, and maybe our messaging for Jenkins needs some work. So I think that as a team, we probably should work on some messaging for why Jenkins users should adopt Ortelius. And maybe we need to simplify the message, around what we're doing, post-deployment vulnerability detection for Jenkins platforms.
So,
I will call out as you raise this while I'm looking at stats. Our second most popular video on the Ortelius channel is Jenkins templating engine with Steve Tirana.
Yeah, that was a really good one, but it was really good.
I think around the Jenkins side, I think we need to do some more basic things, like how and why you want to like add an SBOM, or how and why you want to care about vulnerabilities. And because according to Mark Waite, they don't even do SBOMs most of the time. So I think we have to go really back to the basics with these Jenkins folks.
I think you're onto something there, Steve. I was just looking at our website, and I think we need to be very crisp about the problem you have, the potential impact of that problem, and how Ortelius helps. And I honestly think, Tracy, you've got most of it on the homepage. But reinforcing that message, you're putting components in your software builds and you don't know if they've got problems.
Yep.
And you don't even really know if you aren't constructing an SBOM, you don't even know what's in your software builds, whether it's problematic or not. Some
Yeah.
developer just chucked it in there.
I think what they do their software scan analysis, their composition analysis, and that gives them a report to show if they've got vulnerabilities, and then they move forward and they don't think about it beyond that.
Well, I don't even know if out of the 50 million workflows that are running a month that at CloudBees, if any of that has SCA enabled.
I agree with that, Steve. I think a lot of them, it's some developer downloaded something or other, and surprise, it's in your product.
Hey, Brian, does CloudBees run host Jenkins for open source projects?
No.
Okay, so everything that CloudBees does is the paid version then.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they run an OSPO that that contributes to the Jenkins project overall, but otherwise no hosting services, no infrastructure or dev.
Got it. So in other words, we have a bunch of Jenkins servers out there, hundreds of thousands of them, that need to be updated. So I think if we could do I wish we could figure out a message like as simple as 1, 2, 3, something along those lines to get some of the basics in place for them.
Well, we do have some of that, but maybe
Oh, I
we
know.
haven't-
I
we
mean, just
maybe haven't-
marketing wise.
Yeah, and I've tried to build that around the how to integrate, but I don't think we're getting eyes on it because people don't know why they should do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So what maybe we should do, let me give a task for all of us for the next call. I think what we should do is we should go hunt down LinkedIn groups, Slack groups, Discord groups. Let's find out where the Jenkins community is talking. We asked this question to Elisa Tong, and she gave us a few sites, and I should go back and see what those sites are, and that maybe Brian and I can do that. But let's find out where they're hanging out, because I feel like we should have a conversation where they're at. We have to go to them; they can't come to us, and I feel like we should listen to them for a bit and start reporting back of what they're talking about. And we should be asking them questions on those sides. How are you guys doing security?
Yeah.
They're good tasks for me to do.
Yeah,
As well as
because
a PDF, right?
uh, well, there is a CDF meetup group around Jenkins, but I don't know how active they are these days.
So we have
Okay.
Jude does that. Jude Wellington manages quite a few of those, and we should be able to get a meeting. We can pitch some meetings, but before we do that, and this is why we didn't do it. We were going to do a badge, and I don't think we have a badge, but that doesn't matter. If we could get what we were told by Alyssa was the best way to really target them is if we could get Jenkins incorporated into Ortelius and then start letting them know when we find different versions of or vulnerabilities in the different versions of Jenkins it's running and report that to those sites.
Yeah.
Because then they begin seeing how Ortelius is working for them and that we're contributing back and we could get a logo on the Jenkins page.
So I think that sounds like a great plan. So we'll do, I think, doing two things in parallel. One is finding those hangout spots and listening to them, and at the same time doing like what you just said with getting the pieces in place to tell them here's a fix for your stuff type of scenario.
And I think,
Okay,
well,
so
go ahead.
no, I was just going to summarize. Find hangout spots, and then we have to get Jenkins onboarded and start tracking post-deployment problems. Start reporting back to the hangout sites, right?
Yes. And Tracy, I posted them. Actually, I'll drop the Hangout sites right below your text. All right, here, I'll just go note.
Yeah, like we should write something that calls all these APIs and then pulls in any key things that are related to Jenkins into a channel. We can all get visibility.
Well, that would be
And
the other route would be to
But gosh, don't you want to write about?
yeah, along those lines. I mean, we could find what we need to do is find repositories with a Jenkins file in them. So
Yeah, like Brian posted all these cool places, right? And then we could like, I don't know, look for, I don't know, whatever key
uh,
stuff we're looking for.
I have an idea. Like if we create a working POC, then I think it will gain a lot of traction in conference talks. So we will give demo. So in this way, people from other companies also see what we are doing.
Steve, I've got a search thing for you. You're actually onto something, Steve. Yeah.
what was that, Sasha?
You got a great idea. I've
So
got a tool that can search all repos for Jenkins files.
Yeah,
Like anything you want, like actually any repo, anything you want. If you want to know how to configure something, it'll search for a specific, whatever config you want. You can search for any.
how does it work? Does it use like a GitHub token?
No, I'll find it for you now. And you can use all kinds of grokking techniques, right? Depending what you're looking for.
Yeah, drop it to me. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna find it for you quickly.
Okay,
Sorry.
so the biggest problem we have right now in implementing this, right, it looks to me, is that we first need to get Jenkins onboarded. We need to get the logo put on the Jenkins page. And if we're providing free services to the Jenkins community, we'll be able to get that logo. So we do have, Steve has started it. However, he's working on a contract that doesn't get over until the end of June. So he's been a bit distracted about it. Is there anybody, and I'm going to ping Jing for this one because she needs some, she's already got a gold in the ambassador category. We want to get somebody who's going to get another gold badge for Legends.
Okay.
So Jing, would you be interested in working with Steve to do this, to do this effort? You'll learn a lot because there's
Sure.
pieces to it that So Steve, why don't you talk about what has to be done and what you've already gotten done?
So on the badging front, we put, I think,
No,
three.
no, no, not on the badging front. Let's not worry about the badging right now. Let's worry about the onboarding.
So I'm still trying to figure out the onboarding part. So because Jenkins builds Jenkins, and it's in a closed area, basically, I have to figure out how we get notified that they have a new release. So there's a little bit of work I have to do on that front. But in general, what we would do is we would create an in Ortelius. We have the Linux Foundation, the CDF, and then like Ortelius, we do the Linux Foundation, CDF, and then Jenkins would be the organization name. That can be populated through that can be created through our Ortelius CLI. And with that, we would create the components and the application. That's the part I have to take a deeper dive in. I only did a quick look at what they publish as their artifacts. It looks like a WAR file and a couple Docker files is what they publish in general.
Okay, so Mark Waite is the man to answer all those questions, and I think he's more than willing to do so. And I know, Steve, right now it's just your schedule has not allowed you to really focus on it. Jing, if you want to kind of take some of the scheduling of this, I think the way to do it would be to reach out to Mark, let him know that you're going to be working on it, and then coordinate with Steve his schedule to get that conversation started. Because I have a suspicion that once you get going, Steve will be able to provide whatever support and direction that you need. There's got to be a way, because there's got to be a way that you can build Jenkins locally.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. We could fork the repo and build it ourselves off of a. So you could use a. That's I got to look and that's the part I don't know. That's the question is how they actually do the build. Because like I said, I'm assuming they're using Jenkins to build Jenkins. But I don't know where that happens. So
Okay, so I'm going to send an email to Mark right now. I'm going to say Jenkins on onboarding.
but without us interrupting their stuff, we can do it external by looking at when they publish releases.
Okay, I'm going to put Jing on this call. I'm going to put Steve on this call.
Sure. So how about Tracy, after you shoot the email, then I follow up, then probably I need to get together with Steve, trying to list out what we need to do and then put some schedule around it and then do the follow up.
So is Jesse in school right now?
Yeah, he's really busy.
He is? Okay, I was going to say this might be a fun project for him to work on through the summer.
Yeah, his summer is already fully booked out for his project. So yeah.
Oh, good. Is there anybody else that would like to be involved in this? Okay, so Steve, I am sending an email to Mark with you and Jing on here. What should I let him know?
We just need to understand how they build Jenkins. Where and how Jenkins is built on a nightly basis and how they do their releases. Because I can see that things are split between Jenkins, looks like the Jenkins build system and some GitHub actions.
Okay.
So Steve, why we want to build that particular thing? I think I might have missed that.
We don't want to build Jenkins. We want to know. So we want to create applications and components in Ortelius for that track Jenkins.
Okay.
So
Could we take a shorter route? Could we take a look at the Jenkins? I don't know, is it built in a container?
I have no idea.
Okay, because I was thinking if we could we take the container and generate our own SBOM from it?
Yeah, yeah, that is what I was thinking.
Yes, that's what I mean. There is a way to take the container when a container gets published or a release gets published, we can create an SBOM for those off of those the WAR file or the Docker image when the build happens. Now the problem is when we do that. Let me see where. I think it happens in another repository. Let me look at their release.
So we want to know where and how you build and release Jenkins.
So it looks like they, I think we can figure it out. It looks like they publish the WAR file as a release, which will give us the commit, and we can use that WAR file to create the SBOM from.
Okay. That means like we don't need to know where they are, publishing these artifacts.
We do
We
know
can
it. It's
extend
off of the GitHub Jenkins. So if you go to github.com, Jenkins CI/Jenkins is the repo.
Okay.
And I just was looking at the releases tab, and that's where they did a release last week, and it has under the assets, it has the WAR file.
Did they generate an SBOM?
No, they don't generate SBOMs.
That's insane. I
So,
shouldn't say that. It's not insane, Jenkins people who are listening to this. we can fix that. We're gonna fix that.
so is
Steve,
she
I
And when we
posted it for you in the
and
chat.
if we generate the SBOM from the WAR file, do we miss anything?
No, because I think we kind of work our way backwards because that WAR file is tied to a release, which is tied to a commit. So you can check out the Git repo for that commit, and you can get other things. You can work your way backwards
Okay.
as part of this process.
Okay. Okay. That will be a very interesting exercise because if we can do that, then it'll be easier to onboard things like any application. We would simplify it for so many people.
And I'm looking at their Jenkins file, and it looks like their archive artifacts. They wrote some code coverage. I don't even see where the. Okay, here. So it looks like they're just doing a Maven POM build. Build test with credentials. What is launchable?
That's KK's testing tool, AI testing tool,
Got it.
I think.
Yeah.
Is that right,
Yeah, I
Brian?
think you're right. I think you're right. It's part of it's a testing tool, I think. Brian has a drop.
Oh,
Launch darkly.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Launch darkly, yeah.
it's different than Launch Darkly.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
different than
different, okay.
Launch Darkly. It's called, yeah, it's a testing tool. It's an AI testing tool that they have, about a year ago, they purchased, they brought KK back they bought his company and now he's back at CloudBees and Launchables is part of CloudBees.
I posted source graph in the chat. That's how you can search repos.
Okay, cool.
And I also pasted an article below it is where I found it, which identifies a use case on a particular use case to use it, right? So just to give you an idea. For example, I searched for pre-commit.yaml docs configurations, right? So I could understand pre-commit hooks better. And I found so many cool things.
Nice.
So Steve, the plan of action is to get that release build and try to create the SBOM, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So we would work backwards from the release to the commit, so we can generate a full SBOM. We may end up generating two SBOM, one for the war itself, and another one for the Git repo.
Steve, I shared the Cyclone DX Maven plugin in the chat. Just for creating the SBOM.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They don't want to change their pipeline to add SBOM, so that's where we have to provide a really strong case of why they should start doing SBOMs.
Is it that hard to implement that as a step in your pipeline?
Unfortunately, yes.
They'll
Yeah,
have to
because
add this
it's
dependency in their application.
Pardon?
They'll have to add this dependency in their application code. So
and it
Yeah.
can't run as like an external tool, something like a CLI tool, just to
I
can't.
don't think.
Yeah, but
they're
the Jenkins pipeline is in Groovy,
Groovy, yes.
which
Okay.
is
Forgot about that.
So it's not like a shell script. So they have their pipeline in Groovy, and that's what I'm trying to figure out how it's doing stuff.
Yeah, I had to do super funky stuff with that to get like a bash script around. Like you have all the stress of interpolation issues.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it looks like, I don't know why, but they have a package JSON file as well. So they have some Node.js stuff in here.
All right, so we will we have a plan. So Jing, I think your task initially is let's just get some requirements written down, what we'll need and how we'll go about doing it.
Sure.
You don't have to build it. Let's just get it defined. What, are we going to generate an SBOM? Are we going to use the WAR file? Are we going to do something with a POM file? How are we going to get the SBOM? Because the 2 points that we need is the SBOM and where people are downloading it from and the version. So we'll be able to track those 3 things, I believe, fairly simple. And then when we go to implement it, if you don't have time to do that, I think it's something that would be useful for you to learn, because you'll just learn, you'll learn a lot. There'll be a lot of weird details you probably have never dug into before, but Steve can certainly give you the support that you need to get it done. So you're not alone on it. And I might get involved myself because I think documenting the process would be very, very important. Because this might change what we do, how we actually implement Ortelius from the get-go.
If we have the requirement, freeze, if like what we need to develop, I think Zing can create a small task and I can take like a few tasks here and there whenever I have time.
Great, thank you.
Sure, yeah. Let's see what Mark's coming back with.
Okay. I'm just going to put a note. Steve and Jean will work with Mark to define the onboarding requirements and process. We will then create a small project plan with tasks that can be shared across all. It will need to be documented. Because, I've always said part of our problem is I think our onboarding is too hard.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
to simplify it. And maybe this is one of the ways we can do it. We just worry about collecting the SBOM. We worry about collecting the build data or the deployment data. And the rest is great to have, but it's not necessary for reporting the vulnerabilities on a regular basis. And you may not have a component, you may just have one big application. You have one giant component that makes up the application.
Yeah, that
So
makes
it's a
sense. Trace,
one-to-one
what you said.
relationship.
The onboarding is tough,
Yeah.
because I've shown people before what Ortelius can do, and they're like totally wild. And then what I mean, it's like, but how do you go even at a more simple level, right?
Well, that's the frustrating part because the CLI that Steve wrote does most of the work.
Yeah, CLI is cool.
Yeah, so the CLI can be used fairly easily, but let's not ask anybody to use it. Let's just see if we can get something even more basic.
Yeah.
At least, especially for the open source projects that we would like to. It would be great if we had in Ortelius, our SaaS version, if we had some of the bigger, of course, the CDF projects, and then a few of the Linux Foundation projects. It'd be interesting, right? To be reporting on Kubernetes. That would get us some attention.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's really cool. Yeah, I tell you, that's a good idea.
So if we figure out a simple way to do this, that is, if we see ourselves as the security team for the Linux Foundation in terms of post-deployment vulnerabilities, and we were hired to do that, how would we go about getting it done as quickly as possible? That's the question we have.
And I think the idea that we are kicking around right now would be the way to go. Not basically don't interfere with them and just go off and do it.
Exactly.
And work our way backwards.
Exactly. Yeah. Just watch their pipeline and pull it when we need it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey, Sasha, do you know that tool that you just sent can look at releases?
That's a really good question. I haven't explored that first, Steve.
Okay.
But that's a really good
So
test, I think.
there is a GitHub API. So by repository, if you know the repository, we can fetch all of those releases. So
Okay.
we can create the solution ourselves.
That's also true.
And GitHub has a RSS feed, right?
Yeah, it does. I don't know if they have decommissioned it. I need to check.
Yeah.
Is source graph that's what you were talking about, Steve? I'm trying to update the notes with the tool.
Source graph.
Whatever Sasha posted, you asked.
Oh, I didn't look. I'm on two different machines, so.
Sasha,
Yeah,
source graph, what you were talking about?
Yeah, I posted it there because I just checked it out the other day and, for example, searched for something. I was looking to configure pre-commit hooks, to look for all the different examples out there, and it just searched through all the repos. But of course, made a really good point. Like you can just call it from the API of GitHub.
Okay.
But it gives you an idea, right?
Yeah.
Steve, I shared the GitHub API endpoint for feed,
Okay.
RSS feed.
Yeah, feed. The API version is pretty old, but yeah, that should work.
Let me take a look at that one.
Arvin, did you go see Jackie Chan?
Not yet.
I think we need a Jackie Chan alien for Ortelius.
God, so much fun.
Like,
So
Uh,
another
I-
another topic I just want to cover. There wasn't some interesting news came out on Friday. Let me pull it up from last week.
In the meantime, I also shared another link in which you can subscribe to any notifications or GitHub projects.
Check this out, folks. This is for our other project that the architecture team is working on. Let me go to my, where did it go? There's Zoom. So, I've been complaining about these pipelines for so long. When this came out, I was very happy to see that Anthropic has released Claude Opus 4, and it will do 7 hours of workload automation.
yeah, I use Claude every day. That's my go-to AI for my crazy, ridiculous job. Because if I didn't have it, I would be in a mental home.
So when you're playing with Claude, I want you to do a test for us.
Yeah, I can open it right now. I pay for it.
See if
It's
start
worth it.
seeing if you can automatically update a POM file with a corrected version of the correct version of a vulnerability open source package version.
That doesn't work. I've already tried.
It doesn't work.
No.
He's already tried that.
Well, is that
Right.
is that with Opus 4 that was just released? So
Claude
you have
Opus
to
4.
use the latest version of Opus of Anthropic's,
Let me check what is the version I'm using.
because that's where they added a bunch of DevOps stuff
It's
to it.
Opus 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using that.
Huh.
Mm. Yeah, it destroys ChatGPT, in my opinion, when it comes to coding and helping you with stuff like that. Oh,
Yeah, I've left
amazing.
using ChatGPT a year ago.
Yeah, I stopped it too. I just cancelled my subscription long ago.
But Opus is a professional version, though. You need to pay for it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Even
Right? Yeah, no
even
free
the
version at all.
No,
even the ChatGPT is the free version doesn't take me far enough for what I need to do.
yeah.
So that is why for
Yeah.
the safe versions, Steve, I rely on your API.
Oh, so you make me do all the work.
We can try using these, but the result was not so helpful.
Okay. Well, there's a bunch of stuff that we can steal out of the Renovate area. So the Renovate bot part is open source, but it's in a strange language. It's like in Ruby or something, or Rails. It was in a bizarre one.
I say Ruby is plain English.
Which one was it, Arvin?
Ruby is very simple. I think for Rails it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So on the MCP thing, I was able to build the application, repository application, and we can get if the particular dependency set, they are compatible or not. So here I was using these Anthropic APIs with MCP and also E2B integration. So E2B is another provider which offers you a sandbox environment,
Uh-huh.
and they had this MCP integration. So whenever we try to build any application, it will go instantiate a sandbox environment, build your application, see if that is running, and return you success or fail. So
Nice.
that is up and running. I was going to demo that in last Thursday, but then I thought like there was no call.
Yeah. We'll demo it this Thursday. We have a call coming up this Thursday.
Oh, I can give you some feedback quickly, Utkarsh. I mentioned you because the CDF was wondering why there's no AI in any of the projects, like kind of AI type project. And I said, don't worry, Ortelius has got that covered because Ortelius is developing an AI to help with security, and everybody on the board is like, wow, that's so cool.
Really? Good.
Yeah, yeah. One of the guys was like, why don't we have anything in the CDF regarding AI and all of that? And it's like, what's going, and like there wasn't like something about some talks where there wasn't even AI at the talks, and at some conference for the CDF, and I was like, no, don't worry, Ortelius has got that covered. We got a guy called Utkarsh who just wrote an insanely cool tool using AI, and they were all like, oh.
So till last year, like no tool was there who was like focusing on these DevOps workflow.
Exactly.
And then now they have like started like focusing on these DevOps workflow, but still
Yeah.
there is a lot of room for development, because if you talk like any niche tool who can generate SBOMs or analyze those SBOMs, so there is no such tool out there.
Yeah, exactly. So Ortelius is
Even
ahead of the
for
curve.
even for generating infrastructure as a code, so there is no robust tool as such.
Look at Wizard Coder.
Wizard coder, okay.
That one claims, and it has a SaaS version that we can, kind of like ChatGPT has its SaaS version that you can call, so you don't have to run it locally. And it's pretty cheap. It's like 0.002 cents a transaction.
Yeah, this is a wrapper over Olama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposedly they train the model
Yep.
around coding, but I have not tried it yet. I just found it.
You can
Okay.
run
Okay.
this
I can try
locally
this
if you
out.
want.
But so far, Claude Sonnet 3.7 is trained over like how many, like 500 or 600 billion terabyte of data, something like that.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
they just have they don't have so many parameters, so I don't think it's just 34 billion parameters.
Yeah, because it was specific to coding, so they really narrowed it out. From what I was reading it, they narrowed it down so you can run it basically
Okay.
locally and around coding specific tasks.
Okay, not specific to like generating Terraform or something, right?
I
Like
don't know.
coding as a whole.
I think coding as a whole.
So in that case, Entropic works very well. So like whenever I have to generate some, PRDs or sample React application to just demonstrate, it does it like straight away, no errors as such.
Nice.
Tropic is amazing.
Yeah, I think
Best one
it's
I've used.
yeah,
The best one I've used. Yeah.
I definitely think they're doing more interesting things in a lot of these companies.
That's for sure. I agree. Totally.
For development, it's not just about code, right?
Yeah.
So just to recap, so I'm going to do a deeper dive into the Jenkins build, and Jing and I will meet with Mark Waite to get some ideas, some little background on how they have things going on that front. And from there, I think the approach will be to basically onboard without any of their help. And then at that point, we can we'll be able to kick out we might as well just kick out a message to our Slack channel for a while. And when we find something in Jenkins as severity that we can get just notified internally for our own testing. And then at the same time, we will keep going forward with figuring out the best way to get in touch with these folks, whether it's going to be through their Slack channel or Discord or whatever, wherever they hang out, so we can get a better understanding what they got going on,
Steve, why don't we,
what their problems are.
the GitHub, we can just get Ortelius to scan and then it automatically create a PR in their GitHub. With a report.
Yeah, that's the plan. That'll be the next step once we get it proved out, Sasha, and that we're watching things. That our next step will be to figure out what raise an issue, or we may just start with an issue, creating an issue saying that you have a security vulnerability that's shown up. Because more than likely, the vulnerabilities are being scanned like on their Docker Hub website. Docker Hub is scanning their containers for vulnerabilities, but they just put a little flag out there, but they don't tell anybody else about it. You have to go and hunt it down.
I see.
We want to get front and center with them somehow.
Yeah, it's your friendly Ortelius community just raising this PR to make you aware.
Yep, that will be the long-term approach.
Okay.
All right. Anything else I may have missed? We had a lot going on in this meeting.
Yes, we did.
And Ukar's plan for Thursday to do that demo.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Yes,
Cheers.
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.